Hey, what's good, YouTube? Let me put this theory on you real quick. And drop my pen. All right. So my theory is that I watched a clip of Dr. Umar talking about the N word, and I think that he's actually very wrong. Now, my theory behind why I believe that he's wrong is what I'm going to go over today. And I want to go over why not only is he wrong about the N word and us not needing to use it anymore, but I feel as if we should use the N word and we should use it for the right reason, but we should have a total understanding of why we use the word in the first place. And for us to understand that, there's a couple of key things that are connected to this right here. There's a couple of things connected to it. First, one of them is, well, the first one is the So the first thing we got to focus on is the definition. And then after we define what the N word actually is, then we lead to, what is it? Next we have the UID, or if you're in tech, the what is it? The cultural, unique identifier. That's what it was. So we have the unique identifier, but however, we have a cultural unique identifier that we have to talk about. And then that feeds into, what was the other part? All right. So then it leads to, so then it connects to the American salad. And then after that, it then moves over to, so this for me, it starts off at the definition of the N word, which I've defined myself using the same method in which what's it called? Webster's dictionary uses their process of making a word a new word. Then it leads to the cultural unique identifier of what sets a culture apart from others. And then that connects to the contribution it makes to the American salad, as I call it. And then even how it blends into professionalism and cultural acceptance for the N word. So first, starting off, I want to define what the N word is, at least in my eyes. All right, now the definition of the N word, to me, from what I observed and what I've seen, how people use it, how I use it, how even people of other races have used it, which they shouldn't, and even people who are not Black American use it, which they also technically shouldn't. But the way I define the word is how I see it used in the context in which it's used in. There are two connotations to this word. So it's not just like, when people say, oh, it's an ignorant person. The definition that I found for the N word after my consistent research and understanding use of the word and the listening of other people's use of the word, I came to two definitions. One is that one is quite simply my brother in struggle. Now struggle in this sense can be taken for whatever context that it's put in. So let's say you have these two men who are gangbangers, and their definition of struggle is trying to survive attacks from an enemy gang and trying to live and make money and whatnot. Their definition of struggle might be different because Their definition of struggle might be different based on whatever group that they're in. However, the usage of that word as someone who shares in my struggle, that word itself is the true essence of the word that I have come to and observe and how it's actually used. Not telling people how to use it, but listening to how in which they use it and what they mean by it when they use it. So I came to the definition of the first one, which is my brother in my struggle, or my brother in struggle, my brother of the struggle, whatnot. It's pretty much you struggle with me. But there's a bigger context to this word right here. Like there's a bigger context to this word right here that I'm also going to go into, which leads to the other point. But yeah, but back to this. And 2 would just be black male or black person. So it's 2 connotations in which you will see the N-word being used. One as a term of endearment, as someone who knows me, someone who knows what I struggle with, someone who's probably even gone through the same struggle that I've been through, someone who understands my struggle. That is the first way in which the word is used. Other times you may hear, like, let's take it back to gangbangers again, since they are the ones who people normally see using the N-word. They'll say, hey, get that N-word over there, or get that N-word. What they're really just saying, get that black dude, or get that black person. So it's literally just black male or person, or black person. Sometimes it can even mean men regardless of race. However, more times than not, whenever people use it, they often use it for black males. That is why also it's my brother in struggle and not my sibling in struggle, because for black women, they don't often use the N-word in order to define themselves in a struggle. They often just use it to refer to black males, or sometimes even children. But yeah, so people, black males specific, more often than not. All right, so now we have the definition of my brother in struggle. But what about this cultural unique identifier? This is where culture becomes very important, because when we say struggle, let's take the context of criminal activity out of it, or gangs or groups of people who come together for nefarious reasons. Let's take that out of it. This word still stands as my brother. This definition still stands as my brother in struggle. But what struggle? This is what leads to the cultural identifier. The struggle that people of the N-word often face are things like, let's say, recovering from slavery, poverty. I know my handwriting is bad. Please just bear with it. Let's see, slavery, poverty, injustice, and racism. So the struggle is suffering under injustice, suffering from slavery, suffering from poverty, and suffering from racism, or more specifically, anti-black racism. Now this is what the struggle is really comprised of. Ooh, I don't like that arrow. So the struggle is comprised of these main things, these main points. Now, the reason why I say unique cultural identifier is because the N-word is particular to one type of people, and it's not black people. Now I know in your head you're like, wait, hold on. If it's not for black people, then who's it for? This cultural unique identifier is not for black people. It is for a specific group of black people who suffered under all of these conditions and continue to suffer under all of these conditions with absolutely no recourse to ever fix any of it. And when I say black people, we have to be very specific because there are a type of black people. Tariq Nasheed would say foundational black Americans. I just put BA for black Americans. Yeah, foundational black Americans, American descendants of slave. ADOS. Dr. Claude Anderson, who came up with the term before anybody else did that I think of. Native black American. And then what I think is a lot easier to say, because I've seen on a couple of people's profiles in Twitter, instead of going by all of these, they kind of summed it up in one word, which is freedman. And to me, freedman fits a lot better. It's easier, freedmen, freedom, and not only that, but specifically black American freedmen. So I think that term works easier, just like black American freedmen or freedmen for short. It's because foundational black American is too long. ADOS is like, well, what are we famous Amos? And then Native Black American is like, yeah, that's the first one, but that's still like kind of like foundational black American. So I think freedmen, having one word specifically, can help kind of fix all of this confusion up about what black is. And with this concept, we have freedmen, black American freedmen to be specific. These issues are very specific to this group of people, well, the whole thing, to this group of people. However, often when you hear black, when you hear the term black, you often see people like oh my God, my handwriting is garbage. You hear Jamaican, Nigerian, Dominican. You often have all of these people that come over to our country and just kind of come under the term of black. However, these people are not actually black. They're not. Or at least they're not black in the sense of which we really mean. They are not black American freedmen. They're not black American freedmen. They're just black skinned or dark brown skinned people. That's what they really are. They are not freedmen, but whenever we hear the term black, we automatically equate it to, when we hear black, we automatically equate it to the whole thing. And that's the problem. Because the N-word right here is only for this select group of people. The reason why is because we are the ones who suffered under the use of that word. We then took the word, took the ER off, put the A on, and turned it into the definition of my brother in struggle, or black male, or person for short. We are the ones who took that word because it was used against us, and then we turned it into what it is today, the N-word that everybody wants to use, or everybody doesn't want us to use, or anybody else to use for that matter. So it's like we have all of these different people, but we really have to be specific on who we are as a specific people, which are black American freedmen. That is who we are. And the N-word and the brother and the definition of my brother in struggle, all of this really kind of hits home with the moneymaker of this thing right here. Slavery. And not just any slavery, but American slavery. Slavery in America. That is what it's really attached to. So you can't separate slavery in America from, without having America. And you can't have all of these other people claiming that they were the, Americans, or at least the foundational black Americans who built America, because they're not. That was the black American freedmen who did that. Or all the other terms who did that. It was us who came up through slavery who actually built the country and who's actually had the N-word used against us in a negative way. And we were the ones who took the word and then made it a positive and endearing term, aka meaning my brother in struggle. And this is what sets us apart from all of these other black groups of people who are not really black American and their descendants, whether that be first, second, third, fourth, fifth generation black people, all the way up to the people who started coming after the civil rights era. Like anybody who's black American who came after the civil rights era, like their parents immigrated after that, they're not freedmen. They didn't fight for our freedom. We did. So we are the freedmen. They are not. The N-word was used against freedmen. It was not used against them like that. Now, yes, there were some instances where like, oh, I got called the N-word because I'm black. But yeah, until you open your mouth and now you start speaking Spanish or French or Patois or Swahili or Tigringa, like you're not, or speak British English, until you open your mouth and start saying like that, talking like that, then it's like, oh yeah, no, you're not one of them. You're not one of the freedmen. You're one of just the black immigrants. But this is important for us to draw a delineation between us and immigrants, because this part, the cultural unique identifier, is what gets us, is what now connects us to us, what I call the American salad. Now, let's say, trying to have a good little dinner here. Oh my God, that's awful. Golly, I just can't. Nah, that's gonna have to do. All right, so let's say we got the American salad. We got, some lettuce. Got some big old pieces of lettuce. And then, we got some tomatoes, the little small ones. And let's say we got let's say we on our RB stuff, we got little pieces of meat in there, a little chicken or something. And let's say, we got some, we got the croutons. We got some mushrooms. All right. But with this salad, that looks disgusting. All right, so we have the American salad, which is what everybody contributes to it. So you have, let's say you have Mexicans. Let's say you have Mexicans in there, and you have their unique cultural identifiers that they have for themselves that they bring to the party. You have all the Haitian, Nigerian, British, Dominicans coming in as well. You have the Polish, German, Irish, Chinese, Korean, Iranian, let's see, what's good? You have Jewish, you have Japanese. Oh my goodness. They hoeing my letters. Cambodian, Indian. So I'm just putting all of this around to see all different types of ingredients that are included in this salad. However, all of these groups have their own unique identifiers, something that set their own cultural, unique cultural identifiers that sets their cultures apart so that they can contribute multiple different kinds of things to the salad. So let's say, we have some Polish sausage or German sausage or some Iranian, I don't know what they eat over there, some Jewish kebab or something, I don't know, Chinese orange chicken or something, some Indian curry or something, some Irish potato slices, some Saudi Arabian, I don't know, some Korean, some Cambodian. But basically what I'm saying is that all of these different groups of all these different cultures have something different to offer to the salad to make the American salad what it is, the very cultural diverse place that it is supposed to be. And if we don't, and then when we look at freedmen, where do freedmen fit in this salad? What is something that we created that's unique to us? That's a good one. That's another one. We also theft of our culture and stuff like that. So it's like, if we don't have anything to offer to the American salad, then what do we have? We don't have anything. And I'll give you this. All right. Culture is to people what blood is culture is to people. A culture is to a people what blood is to a human body. It is the life force that flows throughout our body that we cannot exist without. Us as Black American freedmen, we have specific needs and specific things to offer the world in order for us to establish ourselves as a culture. And we are not, and I often notice that we're not allowed to express ourselves as our own culture, because whenever we come up with something, the theft of our creative properties, we are often forced to kind of say that it's an American thing now. It's American. Hip hop is American. It's not Black American freedmen. It's not freedmen. It's American. R&B is not freedmen. It's American. Soul food isn't freedmen. It's American. The N-word isn't freedmen. It's American. You see where I'm going with this? The more stuff that we create in our culture and the more stuff of our culture that is taken away, they are literally draining our people of the very life force that we need in order to become that self-sustaining people that everyone makes fun of us for not being. Everyone, especially even our own diaspora and brothers and sisters that come over here, they say, why are you guys so lazy? Why don't you guys ever do anything? Why are you guys so content with struggling? But it's like so much of our culture is constantly siphoned off and turned into just American culture. But it's like, if what makes Black American freedmen, if that's taken away, if that gets erased, they're erasing us. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have handicapped people. I forgot what it looks like. Some of them, their ears don't work. Some of them, their hands. Oh my Lord. Some of them, their hands may not work like they used to. Some of them may not be able to speak. Some of them may not be able to. Some of them may have a whole limb some of them may have a whole foot missing or something. But let's say you came up with the magical cure to fix all handicapped people. Now, of course, you're gonna have some people who may not take it, but I'm pretty sure you have a lot of people who will be like, "Oh, you can fix my ears, you can fix my eyes, you can fix my foot, you can fix my hand. Oh yeah, go ahead and fix me up." And what happens when they're all fixed up? Nobody's handicapped anymore. And what happens to the handicapped community? It disappears. It withers away. This is a happy case scenario of that happening. But when you have a people like Black American freedmen, where are we gonna go if this happens to us? Where are we gonna go? Are we going to go with Africans? They're not accepting us like that. Some of our black men and some of our Black American freedmen brothers and sisters in Africa are getting killed. So we can't go to Africa. They're not offering us dual citizenship or anything that doesn't involve red tape. We can't go to the Dominican or Republic or Haiti because it's not that popping over there. We can't go to Brazil. We're not trying to go to Europe because they're all coming over here for all of the Black American acting jobs. So it's like, where can all of these Black American freedmen go? There would be nowhere for us to go. And if there's nowhere for us to go, what is going to happen to us? We're going to end up dying off. We're not going to be able to be around like that anymore. We're going to cease to exist because now our people don't have the blood in their veins. And I took a master class by Walter Mosley because I'm interested in writing stories and stuff. And he said something in his master class. He said that a people who's not written into fiction is not written into history. And I tend to agree because people pay a lot more attention to fiction than they do, history. I think so. I don't think they care that much about history as they say they do. I think they care more. I think the average everyday person, which makes up a majority of people, do not care about. They don't care about history like that. They care about fiction because fiction is more fun. It's a lot cooler. So, but I bring all of that up to say that the N-word is a unique cultural identifier for us, something that sets us as Black American freedmen apart from other Black immigrants and then other people in other cultures in general. And now when it comes to the American salad, now that we see a necessity for the N-word, being that it's something that sets us apart, it's something that we can use to uniquely identify ourselves away from other groups of people. Now it starts to come to professionalism and cultural acceptance of the N-word. Now, my personal opinion is that I believe that Black American freedmen should be allowed to use the N-word in professional settings as a form of cultural acceptance. Now, the reason for this being is because let's take Jewish, for example. I remember I was working at this one place in LA and they had an elevator that it was specific or something for like Jewish Shabbat or something. I don't remember. But it was something Jewish, and they had a whole elevator dedicated to something Jewish. And my thing is, I'm just like, why do they get to have something like that in a building where there's a bunch of people who are not Jewish? but they get to have something of theirs out and in the open and in the public for everyone else to have to, be around. So why is it that they get to have something that they share in public with each other that we don't? Let's take another example. Let's take someone who speaks a foreign language. Why is it that they get to have something like their own foreign languages, their own terms of endearment, and things that they can say to each other in, the plain view of, other people who may not speak their language? Why is it that they get to have something that they get to share and do in a professional setting sometimes even? Because the building that I was working in, them with having a whole elevator for Jewish, I forgot for some reason, it's like they get to have something, their culture gets to be accepted. Their culture is always accepted. I'm pretty sure Saudi Arabian may have some stuff that they do that, we don't find too particularly pleasing in America, but they get to come, they'll probably be able to get to come over here and do whatever do whatever their culture or their custom is. And they're probably even able to do it in a professional setting, because I know I've watched videos of, I study Japanese. I'm studying Japanese, and it's like I see how when they have, what do they have? When they have these instances of business where they need translators, and Japanese people, sometimes they often wear suits and ties, but sometimes they'll wear their traditional garb, something that is specific and unique to them, and that they use for business, or have business customs that they bring over and that they get to do. Or even if they come over just to work, they get to have their own, Japanese ways about them, or even Korean or Chinese or Indian or whatever. They get to have their own ways about showing themselves, wearing their traditional garb and all this other stuff. They have a bunch of different cultural unique identifiers that we as Black American freedmen just do not. And I know some people want to say, what about with white people? They don't have their own cultural thing. When we look at professionalism itself in America, it's often kind of based on what white people find appealing. Because for a long time, having dreads or having locks was seen as bad for business. Why is something that is natural to Black people, or at least a common hairstyle amongst Black people, seen as negative and unprofessional? Why is African American vernacular English frowned upon in professional settings? That is our tone of speak. That is our culturally unique. That is our unique cultural identifier. We don't have our own language like that. I mean, we do, but it's a Pig Latin type language. But African American vernacular English is our way of communicating. Would you tell someone who is Australian that their way of speaking English is wrong? Would you tell someone who's British that their way of speaking English is wrong? But apparently it seems that when anybody speaks a different type of English other than people who are also white, is often frowned upon. And let's say, even with Black women having to feel like they have to wear straight hair because straight hair is more corporate appropriate than having, Afro puffs or whatnot. And I'm not saying that it's not slowly changing over time, but it's still not a smooth process, with some kids going to school with their hair looking a certain way and getting it cut off. And I think I saw a video of this white man who was gloating about having a Black man cut off his locks. A young Black man cut off his locks for some business opportunity. And I was like, that's so despicable. That's really despicable and kind of disgusting, honestly, for you to have someone deny themselves, deny their cultural heritage in order to participate in this professional environment, which is often dominated in higher positions by people who are not minority. The term minority is a whole nother video that I'm gonna have to get into as well, and defining them away from Black American freedmen. But what I start to see is that, with professionalism in general, especially American professionalism, there were not Black people in the room when they were deciding what is and is not corporate and politically correct and professional. We weren't in those rooms. Our culture was not taken into account when they created these norms. So professionalism is already a white norm in general already. So that's why I feel that this N-word should be seen as somewhat professional. It should be accepted, and not even just the N-word, but also African American vernacular English in general should be seen as our unique cultural identifier as Black American freedmen who were enslaved in this country and fought for our freedom and even the freedom from other people. Our unique cultural identifier, one of those is the N-word. And I feel, and my theory is, I feel as if we should be able to not only be able to, I don't believe that we should stop using it. I believe that we should continue to use it, but I also believe that it should be accepted in a professional setting. Now, maybe not directed towards anyone who's not a Black American freedman. However, I do believe that Black American freedmen should be allowed to use that term of endearment amongst each other in a professional setting. Like, there should be no societal stigma on two Black American freedmen or freedwomen calling each other or referring to each other as the N-word. I don't believe that there should be any. I don't believe there should be any recompense or there should be any penance for using that word in a professional setting. I don't believe that there should be. I believe that we should be accepted and our culture should be accepted for what it is. And what our culture is a history of our struggle. Not saying that we're only our struggle, but we are our struggle, which gives birth to our creative ways. And our creative ways should be culturally accepted in this American salad of a bunch of different groups who come together and bring their own things together. So my thing is, I'm like, if you're going to keep the energy for Black Americans not being able to, Black American freedmen not being able to have our own cultural heritage that we uphold and we see even in a professional setting, then you must do the same for all of these other groups. You must do the same for all of these other groups. All of these other groups in this American salad, you must do the same for everybody else. And not only that, but a complete rehaul of what professionalism is in America, because it was not designed with a bunch of different cultures in mind. It wasn't. Hairstyles and whatnot were not designed with Black American freedmen people in mind. It wasn't. And because it was not, and because other groups of people get to come and have their own unique identifiers for their culture, we should be allowed ours, which is not only the N-word, but also AAVE. So the N-word and African American vernacular English is our cultural unique identifier, something that sets us apart so that we can have something to contribute to the American salad. If we have nothing to contribute to, the American salad, we are essentially being told that we are a worthless people. But if we do have our cultural unique identifier that we can use and also use in a professional setting, a social setting, then I believe that we will finally be accepted for who we truly are as foundational Black Americans, descendants of American slaves, American descendants of slaves, or Black American descendants of slavery, or Black American freedmen, all of the above. I believe we will finally be accepted for who we are when these conditions are met. That is my theory. So my theory is that not only should we not stop using the N-word, is that we should continue to use the N-word, and it should even be allowed and accepted in a professional environment, in a professional setting. Now, my disagreement with Dr. Umar is that Dr. Umar is someone who he's low-key kind of pushing the like back to Africa thing. And it's kind of like, yeah, that would be cool and all if it wasn't so much red tape and if so many of our people weren't getting unalived over there. That would be better if that wasn't the case. But that happens to be a reality. And not only that, but it's like what I see is the same way America tries to wipe away our unique cultural identifier with just shoving it into Americanness. I see Dr. Umar doing a similar thing, but pushing it towards Africa and Africanity. I see him just shoving us in there with Africa, leading us to also a similar demise because we are not allowed to have our own unique cultural identifiers, and we're constantly trying to repress who we are. But it's like no matter what we create, it's always America coming in to say, hey, nope, that's us. And then you got Dr. Umar coming in and saying, nope, that's Africa. And it's like we don't get to be our own selves anymore. And if we don't get to be ourselves, then we cease to exist. Marcus Garvey once said that a people without knowledge and history of themselves is like a tree without roots. I take it a step further. A people with no culture, without a unique cultural identifier, people without their culture is like a tree without roots. And that's my theory. But I've been recording for 52 minutes. Good Lord. But I want to know what you guys' perspective and take is on this theory. I've never really heard someone really kind of iterate this theory or this logic or this way of using the N-word. I never really see people talk about it like this. And one final point is that I noticed that with this being a very unique way of seeing the N-word, I feel like this one has a lot more merit and a lot more value to it, because when I hear people talk about like people like Dr. Umar and other people of the like, they say we shouldn't be using the N-word anyway. I think it's like they're telling people what to do rather than seeing what people actually do, the way the word is actually used. And I believe that this is more so true, because if it was true that the N-word was just an ignorant person or all this other stuff, why do we still use it? Why do we still use it the way that we do if we know that that is such a bad word? Maybe because we don't think that it's a bad word. Maybe because it might not be a bad word. Maybe it's not demoralizing and dehumanizing like people say it is. Maybe it's only seen as dehumanizing and demoralizing when other groups of people use it, including other groups of black people. So I believe that the theory in which I provided is unique because it observes how it's used in its own way, rather than trying to tell it what it is. Because I don't believe that that's the right way to go about it either. But anyway, this video is already long enough, so I want to know what you guys think. I don't know. I'll save this. I don't know, like put it up on something so y'all can download it or keep it or something if you want it. I don't know. My handwriting and my drawing is complete garbage. But hey, if you want it, you can have it. These are always open up for interpretation and open for debate. You can debate me all day long. I'd look forward to it. And subscribe to the channel. More videos going to be coming on the way of me explaining theories. It's not going to always be serious like this. Like I want to do a theory on RDC, talking about if all 7 of them could beat a Jaguar. I think you'll be interested in hearing what I think about that. But yeah, so stay tuned for a little more. It's still new, trying to get everything, set up and everything polished and whatnot so that we can get it cracking. All right. But it's been a good one. Hope you have a good day. Peace.